That is my thoughts on The Deep. I gave it 3 out of 3 of 5. Hello everybody, it's Kristen here. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Deep by Nick Cutter. This book I borrowed from the library, so I had to return my copy of it. I don't have a physical copy to hold, which is kind of annoying because it feels weird talking about the book and not holding it. I hopefully won't stumble through this review, so let's just get into this and hope it goes smoothly. The Deep follows a main character named Luke. Forget his last name. He lives in a kind of a post-apocalyptic world where there is a disease called the Gets. And the Gets makes you forget things. At first, you forget where you left your keys, you forget someone's name, and then it goes into more important things like you forget to eat, you forget to drink, and eventually your body forgets how to live. So that is going on in the world, and there seems to be a cure at the bottom of the ocean. Cure is called ambrosia. There is research going on down at 8 miles below the ocean, trying to research this ambrosia. The book basically takes place underwater as they're trying to figure out a cure to the Gets. So that basically is the summary of the story. It is a horror thriller novel. It definitely was horror and gross and scary in some moments. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I was about halfway through the book. I was gonna rate it 4 out of 5 stars. I ended up dropping it down to 3 stars. I was disappointed with the ending. But before we get into the ending, I'm just gonna talk about a few things that I liked, disliked about the book, and then we will get into spoilers. So I like books that deal with anything kind of biological or dealing with the physical body. I am a nursing student, so I find it interesting when there's a lot of kind of physiological issues. Having a disease that the book was following, I really like that aspect. Sadly, the book didn't really focus on the Gets. It kind of was just a background story part and it never really got into detail. The nursing student in me kind of was disappointed in that. There was some gross things that happened physically, but it didn't have to deal with the Gets, and I kind of didn't really like that. The other thing that I really liked about this book was the setting of it. I loved being at the bottom of the ocean. You feel claustrophobic, honestly, when you're reading this book. Really liked the beginning of the book where they are going down in the submarine type thing, down to where all the scientists are and where all the research is being done. The writing of it going down the ocean, it's 8 miles below the ocean. It was in the Marianas Trench. They went as deep as Mount Everest is high, so 8 miles. How it was described, I was feeling claustrophobic and I was getting scared for the characters. I was feeling like I was going down in the ocean. Really liked the setting of that. The fact that it's like pitch black there. I really liked it. It was scary. It was claustrophobic. You're kind of stuck there. You can't really escape. I felt like Nick Cutter, he wrote in a way that made you scared, and he wrote in lots of detail. And in my Goodreads review, I think I wrote, I forget how I said it. He gives you enough detail. He doesn't overdo it, but he gives you enough to gross you out and freak you out. So I really liked Nick Cutter's writing. That's kind of the biggest things that I liked. The biggest thing that I didn't like was the ending. I felt like it was a huge letdown. I was expecting something bigger. I really liked all the characters and I was expecting, you know, their past to really intertwine into the story because there was a lot of flashbacks and a lot of memories that Luke would have and he would dream of. So I was expecting kind of a lot to intertwine, and I like that in books. I like getting to understand the character more than just the setting that you're in. Overall, I thought it was a horror thriller. If you want a page turner and something to gross you out a little bit, this is definitely your book for it. If you are super claustrophobic, I wouldn't suggest picking this book up. Overall, it was really good. Gave it 3 out of 5 stars. So now I'm going to jump into the spoilers of the book. If you don't want to hear any spoilers, I suggest you leave right now. All right, so for those of you who want to hear spoilers, can we just talk about the ending? Hi, Mabel. Can you see her? She's right there. The ending was really disappointing for me. Basically, the ending was aliens. I didn't like that. I thought that was super easy way out to explain whatever freaky things were going on was aliens. I thought there was such buildup with the Getts and with the ambrosia and what was going on in those holes in the wall. I thought there was such potential to create a really interesting ending, and it was like, oh no, they're just ugly aliens and that's it. And I was like, oh, okay, great. That was my biggest letdown. I thought Nick Cutter wrote Ambrosia so interesting, and I was expecting so much to be developed with that. The scientists that were at the bottom of the ocean were really entranced with this ambrosia and the holes, and they wanted to go into the holes. I really thought that that was going to play into something, and there was like another world, and so I was expecting that to be a bigger ending, but it ended up just being aliens. I understand, like it ties things up well, but it's not as climatic as I would have liked. The other thing that I saw a lot of people comment on in the discussion group on Goodreads was the Getts. There was no conclusion with the Getts. It had nothing to do with the aliens. It was just a disease that was on the planet at the same time the aliens were there. And I'm like, really? There was no correlation? You couldn't have brought something of that? I felt like the Getts was thrown in there for absolutely nothing but that word. Like, there's not even, you have that beginning scene of that man who has the Getts with the creatures on his head, and I was kind of like, that's it? That's the only scene we get of Getts? That's pretty much the biggest things I wanted to vent about. Overall, it was a really gross horror. There was a lot of gross scenes. Really entertaining, scary, page turner. I felt like it was a well-written book. I just didn't like the ending very much. I thought it was disappointing. So yeah, that is basically all of my thoughts for The Deep. Maybe a jumble of thoughts, but thank you for watching this video. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts down below. We can talk about it. Obviously, let's be careful about spoilers. Thank you guys for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!